want to bring up our next speaker, Annabella. I'm going to go ahead and add you to the stage with me. So I'm welcoming to the stage Annabella Denisoff. Annabella is a regional Spanish spokesperson for the Glaucoma Research Foundation. She's a member of the board of directors of the Blind and Vision Impaired of Marin. She's a facilitator of the Latino Hispanic Support Group and the Novato Support Group in Marin County. She's a Spanish support group at the Spanish support group at the Lighthouse for the Blind in San Francisco. She's the coordinator of a watercolor class for the visually impaired. And her watercolor paintings offer a really vivid, free-form explosion of colors that are contained within the framework of joy and hope to celebrate the artist's passion for life and to illustrate the premise that true color-filled creativity cannot be lost just because one loses vision. So I want to welcome Annabella to the stage. And Annabella, so you know, I'm going to share right now one of your recent works that was exhibited at Insight's art exhibit by the Lighthouse for the Blind. And on the screen, folks are seeing Hidden Eyes by Annabella. It's a really vivid painting with reds and greens and yellows and lines that mimic leaves. So welcome, Annabella, to the stage today. How are you?
Thank you. Good morning. I'm a little nervous, but I'm fine. Thank you.
Yeah.
And how are you?
Well, I appreciate you saying that because it's always a little nervous to be vulnerable and put ourselves in front of others. And we've seen that over and over today. And we have such a beautiful audience that's really welcoming us. So what Annabelle and I are going to do for you all for the next few minutes is we're going to model close looking at a piece of art and how that piece of art prompts ideas around belonging. And then we're going to talk a little bit about creating our own sense of belonging and our own piece of art related to belonging and kind of walk you through that. As we get started, Annabella, talk a little bit about you. I know you started painting classes in 2003 and you had very partial vision at that time. And then you continue that creative journey even till today with no vision at all. And so I'm wondering, what is it about painting that compels you to continue on this journey?
Well, painting to me is I get this inspiration, and because I like to remember what I've seen, flowers, birds, and so when I sit and paint, I have something in mind. And, many times I think it's by chance and luck that I get some birds or, the figures of animals or a dancing woman or something like that. And it's, I don't see what I've done, but I rely on somebody else's imagination, because being an abstract paint, it's, for me, it's rewarding to hear what they can see. And they say they like what I do. So it's that makes me want to do more.
Yeah, it just strikes me just now that it's one of those sort of ultimate goals as an artist to be able to let go of that visual outcome, right? To not worry so much about getting all the pieces just right and to know when it's done, when to let go. Mm-hmm. And so you are sort of embracing that part of your vision loss, right? Is I'm putting it out there, I'm putting it on the paper, and then other people will respond to what that is. I just think that's such a beautiful idea. And it reminds me of something you said when we were meeting, earlier, which is I work with inspiration, imagination, and a little bit of luck, which I love because I think I can relate to as a creative. And you also mentioned there's a technical tool you use in a practical world. You've had to learn all kinds of practical things about pouring the right amount of paint, identifying colors without vision. But you found a tool, an app recently you've been using. Can you say a little bit about that?
Yes, that tool is called Color Analyzer. And several times when I work by myself, I used plastic glasses that were clear, and I added the pigment inside the glass, and with that tool, I would switch it on and go underneath the glass, and it would tell me what color it was. And roughly, because there are so many shades of reds and greens, and, but at least I could choose that particular color if I wanted. So that helped me a lot because I was able to work by myself. And in the classes, we've been very lucky that we always had volunteers helping us choose the colors, and they mixed them and they just brought everything to us. But when you work by yourself, you really have to kind of be patient. You can make mistakes or messes because, well, you have to be very careful the way you position the glasses with the pigment and the water all mixed up, and you have to make sure that the paper is wet enough, and that when you want to start the painting, I have to measure the paper and just try my luck when the color is going down the little pour, and I began using only 4 colors because it was easier for me to imagine that I was going to paint some flowers, and I always like to kind of do twirls and lines and crosses, all these things that when the watercolor is getting dry, we used to use cellophane to put over it, because as as the painting is drying, you can pull that paper, that cellophane, and so it will add to some different figures or shapes, and that could make your painting better.
Oh, I love that technique. Thank you for sharing that. It gives a lot of texture to your pieces, I can see.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, could we, maybe what I'm going to do is share on the screen a painting. When we were talking about the theme of belonging and preparing for today, this painting immediately came to your mind. This is Marc Chagall's I and the Village from 1911. You can read and view more at moma.org, but it's on the screen, Annabella. Tell me, when we were thinking about belonging, this immediately came up for you. What is it in this image that relates to belonging?
I liked it the moment I heard about it, because with Covia Well Connected Espanol, we have a class, an art class, and the instructor described it for the class. And I was fascinated because in a previous class, she had talked about using lines, different kinds, and types of lines. So I thought, wow, that sounds pretty nice. I would like to, try to do, a big X, or just do any wiggles, but to make it in a way that there will be some areas where I could add either color or try to I cannot draw, but I could make some kind of wiggles or some things. And that made me love that paint because Marc Chagall moved from Belarus to Paris, France. And well, he must have been thinking about home. And I immigrated from my country, El Salvador. And so I felt like, he was remembering what life was before. And I think that was a good way to preserve his roots, in his memory and put it on paper. Unfortunately, I cannot, follow such a beautiful paint, but I, could do some things like just Sunday I did few of my, with the help of Suzanne, I did 3 paintings, a little different, using more pigment on the paper, a very wet paper on both sides. And the pigment was put in the brush, and I just did what I thought I wanted to do, a lot of roses. So roses and, the stems with different colors, reds, yellows, and kind of a little orangey. And I think I did a blue. So if you want, I can show that to you.
Yes. Do you have that handy? We'd love to see it.
Yes, I have them handy.
It already sounds like the vibrancy of the colors in the Marc Chagall piece. Those bright
yes. This
colors.
is one that I did.
Oh, hold it up a little higher for us. Yes. Ah, that's amazing, Annabella. I love it. So bright and colorful.
Yeah. And this is the second one.
Oh, wow. A bowl of fruit?
Yes. Yeah, it was interesting because, well, it's not defined, but I thought that it might, well, it was just something interesting to do. And I have this other one that is still a little wet. That is a little abstract too.
Yeah, amazing. I love your use of color and line, Annabella. It's so captivating. We have just a few more seconds together. And so what I'd like to have the audience think about is, we talked a lot in our prep around belonging, a sense of home. You mentioned moving to the US, and there were pieces of home, that we carry with us, all of us.
Yeah.
And so I want to encourage folks, there's a lot of research that talks about journaling or adding visualization to ideas can really magnify its impact in our life. So I want to encourage you at some point later today or this weekend to take a minute and maybe write a few phrases or call to mind some images or put some images on paper the way that Annabella's done that really call up where you felt your sense of belonging. Maybe it's like Annabella talked about her childhood home. Maybe there are pieces like we saw in Marc Chagall's painting of, the goat is such a prominent figure, and there's buildings from a city. It could be a place, a person, a spiritual practice. What is it that, roots you in your sense of belonging? Take a minute to journal or draw, sketch some ideas out about that. Annabella, thank you so much for sharing your time and your space and creativity with us today. It's really been a pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Katie, very much. Thank you.
Yeah. Have a great day.
Yeah. Yes, thank you too.